Hello YouTube, this is the Coway AP-1512HH Air Purifier, and simply put, it is probably one of the best air purifiers on the market, despite it being pretty old. The one I have here, I've had for a little over 3 years, so I can attest to its reliability. And that makes me quite happy, because a lot of the shit I buy these days seems to break within a year, but this hasn't. Very nice. Before I dive into this air purifier and all its features, I want to explain a few of the terms that float around when you're shopping for an air purifier. There's all kinds of abbreviations and a lot of nonsense, so let's start with the goods. CADR, or Clean Air Delivery Rate, is a measure and a standard of how quickly and efficiently an air purifier can get rid of pollutants in the air. And there's 3 kinds. There's one for dust, one for pollen, and one for smoke. So you're going to have 3 different numbers, and usually a manufacturer, I think, will just take the average of all 3, and that's what they'll put as a specification. To visualize what CADR really means is, if you have an air purifier that, for example, has a rating of 250 for pollen, it's the same thing as replacing 250 cubic feet of clean air instead of having 250 cubic feet of air concentrated with dust. Now, HEPA, or High Efficiency Particulate Air, is also a standard. And the only way for a filter to qualify as a HEPA filter is if it can filter out dust particles that are up to 0.3 microns small. For comparison, the average hair follicle width is 17 microns. So that's really fucking small. When you combine these 2 figures of merit, you paint a clear picture of what an air purifier is capable of. But note that neither of these numbers and standards really measure how effective an air purifier is at, say, removing a gas. And really the only way it's going to remove the gas is probably through the charcoal filter. Lastly, some air purifiers are going to have an ionizer feature, which is basically a charged plate that ionizes the air, ionization being adding electrons to something that makes the air attract dust to itself, and then the dust, now being heavier, falls to the ground and makes filtration easier, and then you can also clean it up with a vacuum. A byproduct of ionization is ozone. Although it is dangerous to breathe, it gets created in very, very negligible amounts, so you don't really need to worry about that. Now that we're more or less educated, let's dive right into the Coway. When you first unbox it, make sure you throw the manual away because you are very smart like myself. Then you will proceed to turn it on and you will think that it's cleaning the air and you will say, wow, the air is so crisp. Meanwhile, it's not doing jack shit because what Coway does from the factory is they wrap the internal HEPA filter, which is in here, in plastic. So it's not doing anything at all. So make sure you unwrap the plastic first. To begin with, this is a handsome device, and this is very important because you're going to have this thing front and center in a high traffic area, such as your living room or perhaps your bedroom. When you turn it on, it plays this wonderful little song. So one of its main features, one of its most important features, is the auto feature. You can see right now that the light is blue, meaning that the air is clean. If it detects that the air has dust in it, it'll kick the fan speed up to whatever level of pollution is necessary. Because here on the side, it has a dust particle counter. I'll get to that a bit later. But that is how it knows at any given moment how polluted the air is. Then you've got the ionizer feature. You can keep it on, you can keep it off. It has a timer feature, which will automatically turn this thing off after 1 hour, 4 hours, or 8 hours. Here you've got the filter reset button. These will light up whenever the lifespan of the filter runs out. The HEPA filter has a 1-year lifespan. The odor filter, which is the charcoal filter, has a 6-month lifespan. When you buy a replacement pack, it'll give you 1 HEPA filter and 2 odor filters. And this light here will change from blue to yellow to red depending on the severity of the pollution in the air. Additionally, it has an eco feature. The eco feature, once it determines the air quality is clean and the LED is blue, it will turn the fan off after 30 minutes to save you electricity. Let's talk about how loud it is. So this is it on level 1. It is barely audible. This is a very, very quiet machine. Here's level 2. And incidentally, because I keep this in the bedroom, this is the speed I set at night because this thing doubles as a nice white noise generator. And finally, speed level 3, which should really only be on if you have severely crappy air inside the home. Let's explore electricity usage. So I've got my kilowatt here. I have the Coway plugged into it. Let's turn it on and see what the consumption is on level 1 without the ionizer. Fan is spooled up and we're barely using 2.3 watts. Level 2 kicks it up a notch. We're now at 4.7, 4.8 watts. Highest speed setting, we're at around 36 watts. And finally, the ionizer. We're now at 38 watts. This is as much electricity as it will ever possibly use. Under normal operation, when you have clean air and you've got the ionizer on, we're at 2.6 watts or so. Let's talk about maintenance and filter replacement. There's a good reason why I kept this dirty. That's so I can show you how to clean this. So, let's turn it off. Although, it does have a feature where it interlocks. So, if I remove this panel, it turns itself off automatically. Now look at this disgusting pre-filter. That's pretty bad. That's how it gets after probably at least half a year. This is basically a 3-stage filter. 4 if you count the ionizer. You've got the pre-filter right here, and it's got 2 tabs that you pull down, and you take it off just like that. Then comes the charcoal filter, and beyond that is the HEPA filter. Let me show you how to clean the pre-filter. So here's the thing about the pre-filter. If you cook a lot in your house and you have pets, it'll tend to collect the hair, but also the grease out of the kitchen. So this thing is not only dusty and dirty, it's also clumpy and disgustingly greasy. So to lay it down flat, use hot water, and I'm going to use this wand here. I've got dish detergent in it. First I'm going to rinse it down. Get rid of the biggest stuff here. Have it clog my bathtub. So I've cleaned it for a while, but it still feels a bit gummy to me, so I'm busting out the big guns. I'm gonna use copious amounts of dish detergent here. This is probably about as bad as it gets. So I've really let it go down the drain here. This is probably over a year's worth of crap accumulation. Pat it down a bit with some paper towels. Thank God for this thing, huh? Without this, that HEPA filter probably wouldn't last a week in my house. Just gonna let that dry. Let's move on to the next item. Right. The HEPA filter, use these 2 tabs to pull on and remove it. The inside here is pretty clean, which is a testament to how effective the HEPA filter itself is. We're also in pretty bad shape down here. I'm just gonna use a vacuum for that. The stubborn stuff here is grease. Ah, shucks. I'm just gonna use a terry towel with some water. Alright, this piece right here, somewhat of a royal pain. This is the air intake. Though it looks nice, dust gets trapped here all the time, and it's kind of hard to get to. So in order to take it apart, undo these 2 Phillips screws here. And up next, just press all of these tabs in, and you should be able to pop it right off. Look how disgusting that is. Let's clean that up too. Just be careful about these fins here. They're quite sharp. Don't cut yourself on them. Here. I've got the 1-year replacement pack here. 1 HEPA filter and 2 charcoal filters. $45 on Amazon. Hey, that's pretty pricey, but at the same time, a lot of studies out there have shown that the most toxic environment for you to be in is actually your own home in terms of air pollution, because air pollution gets trapped. There's lots of VOCs coming off of all these modern flame retardant type things. This direction. The charcoal filter kind of goes into the pre-filter here. It's got tabs, and you slide it in rather than sandwiching it like I did before. Last but not least, let's talk about the dust particle counter. You are supposed to clean the sensor every 2 months, but in full disclosure, I have not once cleaned the sensor in the over 3 years that I've owned this unit. You pop this little door off. There is a little lens in here. Use just a wet cotton swab to kind of wipe the lens down, and then use the dry side to get rid of any excess moisture. And not just the lens, which is here in the middle, but also the inlet down here and the outlet up here. Good as new. One thing I forgot to mention, this has a CADR rating of 233 for smoke, 240 for pollen, and 246 for dust. So, last but not least, we're going to reset those filter timers. I believe all we have to do is press and hold. And we're good. 6 months on the HEPA, 1 year on the odor. And there you have it. That's the Coway AP-1512HH. It is an excellent, excellent air purifier. Anything with a CADR rating of above 200 is generally considered good. The only couple of things I don't like about it are how difficult it can be to clean, but also this blue light. I like to keep this thing in the bedroom, and at night, this blue LED really lights up the whole room, and having blue lights at night is not a good thing. So what I tend to do is I just put a towel over all the lights. Just to prove to you that this dust particle counter works, I've got this towel here that produces quite a bit of lint. Let's see if that does anything. Up. There it goes. We made it angry. Ooh, code red. Very dusty. And it will keep going on this high fan speed until it deems the air is clean again. That's the Coway Air Purifier. You can get it for about, I want to say $220 on Amazon. And to be frank, even 3 years down the road, I don't think it has a hell of a lot of competitors. So if this video was helpful, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.
Maybe I can trigger the sensor by farting in it!